Well, hello. I've got a lot of information for you guys today. I know there's tons of questions on what is going on with real estate. There are some concerns. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but the big picture is we're doing fine. I mean, we really are with everything going on. I'll point out the concerns in what I'm seeing, but I got a lot of information. This is not going to be a short video. Come back to it, finish it. I think a lot of stuff, on whether you're buying, selling, whatever the case may be, you're going to want to go through this and understand it. So let's get right into it. And the first thing is real estate is not really losing any traction. All right. Now I get it. We have small business owners out there and they're losing business. If you own a restaurant, you can't serve a meal. You're not getting that meal. You don't get another opportunity to serve that meal. Real estate's a little different. It is being pushed back. You still can buy a house. They're just not doing it right now. And I meant to point out the reason why you're seeing my smiley head today is I am not going to even go into the fact that we should have had barbers and stylists as essential services. That's another story. Getting back into this. So, are we going into recession? Absolutely. The technical definition of a recession is 2 months of GDP and negative growth. And we are definitely going into recession. Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, even Wells Fargo has us going into recession. Wells Fargo was a little different. They didn't have recession in the first quarter, but they are going to have us in recession in the third quarter, where everybody else was first and second quarter. So, but everybody's predicting a V-type recovery on the recession, okay? The next thing I want to point out is a recession does not mean a housing crisis. For a lot of people out there, their reference is the Great Recession. And I get it. It's the most recent memory of a recession. It took us so long to recover from that recession. So I understand why you would think it means a housing crisis, because it was housing that caused the Great Recession, more to the point, banking issues and things that were going on in the financial sector. So, is it going to be like 2008? No, it is not. This is a 9/11 event. And we did have a post 9/11 recession. And during that, the last 5 recessions, you look, house prices went down in only 2 of the last 5. It went down in 1991 nationally, 1.9%. And it really, I don't think had an impact on housing here locally. There were some niche markets, things like that, but I have to be honest, 91 was before my time I got in the market. I didn't start until 2001. 2001's recession, we actually saw housing prices go up. And we all know what happened in 2008. So keeping that in mind, Mark Fleming, the chief economist at First American, stated many still bear scars from the Great Recession and expect the housing market to follow a similar trajectory in response to the coronavirus outbreak. But there is a distinct difference that indicate the housing market may follow a much different path. While housing led the recession in 2008, 2009, this time it may bring us out of it. And that's true. We had a fall in the S&P by 51%, and you look, housing prices depreciated between 2007 and 2009, about the same time frame, just around 18-19%. But this is more like a 9/11 event, and this is why. So David Rosenberg, chief economist of Scullins, Sheff and Associates. Okay, what 9/11 has in common with what is happening today is the shock has also generated fear, angst, and anxiety among the general public, which is true. People avoid crowds. Then they also believe people avoided crowds, and they also believed another terrorist attack was coming, and are acting in the same way to avoid getting sick. The same parts of the economy are under pressure. Airlines, leisure, hospitality, restaurants, entertainment, consumer directional services in general, which is also true. And when you look at the numbers from not the dot-com and 9/11 crash, the S&P went down 45%. But we saw an over 20% gain in house values in those 3 years. So that's one reason why this is not 2008. Another aspect is we didn't have rampant, crazy, wild appreciation going on. So between 2000 to 2005, especially because the dot-coms, lending, and we'll get into that in a second here, all of these, we saw housing prices going up, 6, 8, 12%. 2004, it went up 12.5. 2001 was the lowest a house went up in value, and that was 6.5. But you compare that to the last 6 years, the biggest gain we had was 2017. That was 6.4, and that's still lower than the lowest year-over-year gain. And I've talked on the radio show, and if you guys aren't listening to the radio show, right now we cannot get it to go onto YouTube like I was trying to do because we have to do it remotely, and there's a lot more complex to it. But watch the articles that we're putting up on the website for getrealwitheddy.com. There's constantly stuff coming up there, and this is a lot of the information we're putting here today, and we talked on the radio show. You just didn't have that rampant, pricing over, and creating that bubble going into that. The other aspect is we've been a lot tighter in our lending. So they have, the Mortgage Bankers Association has the Mortgage Credit Availability Index. 2006, all right, is about where the housing bubble hit. We didn't feel the effects until about two years later, but at that point, the index, and the higher score you have on the index, the easier it is to get a loan. 868.7. Today we're at 181.3 on this index. We've been, and we have been since 2008, a lot tighter on giving out mortgages. Now, that's one of the concerns. We still have a small issue because some people are in trouble. There's about 2.9 million individuals asking for forbearance. What does that mean? I can't pay my mortgage today. Can I pay it in 6 months? Can I pay it in 12 months? The CARES Act gave them the option of 360 days to pay the mortgage. The problem is, and what most people don't realize is, if here is me, Bank A, Investor B. I take the forbearance option in the CARE Act. The Bank A goes, all right, well, it's in the CARE Act. Here's your forbearance. Investor B still has to get paid by the bank. Now, you think about that, thousands and thousands, because there's 2.9 million. Banks are now having to pay out money that they don't have money coming in on. Now, we're working with them at NAR. NAR is, and I was on some calls today, last week, talking about all this. We're trying to find ways to help that bank and that servicer, because a lot of these are small community banks. A lot of these are small, it's not just your big banks that are having this problem. Now, big banks are a little more exposed because they usually do handle most of that. But because of that, that is a problem. You've seen one major bank, they are right now not doing any lending. They're turning around and going, okay, we'll do a loan for you, but you pretty much have to have a credit, and you pretty much have to have 20% down. So we have seen a couple individual locations taking that approach. So, but overall, it has been harder to get a loan. And that's where we're at with this index. So we don't have, a lot of high-risk loans out there. Most of those 2.9 million loans that are asking for the forbearance should be able to pay their mortgage afterwards. The other aspect is the inventory aspect. In 2007, before the crash, we had 8.2 months of inventory. Right now, today, we're at 3.1. That's from NAR. The also is the amount of money in the house. So a lot of people remember going into the crash of 2008. There was a lot of people refinancing their houses like it was an ATM. We've talked about it on the radio show. 2005, 2006, 2007, a total of $824 billion in those 3 years in refinance cash outs. Last 3 years, $232 billion. You're talking, the 3 years don't even equal up or is greater than one of the years, which was the lowest in 2007. So people weren't cashing out. They have a lot of equity, and I mean a lot of equity in their houses. Matter of fact, 37% of the American public own their home free and clear. 26.7% have 50% equity in their home, giving you a total of 53.8% of homeowners have 50% equity or more. Also, the affordability factor had a huge impact going into this. In 2006, before the crash, 25.4% of your median income was needed to buy the median priced home. Today, that's only 14.8%. I know people you keep hearing, well, prices are at an all-time high. Prices are all-time high. Yeah, they are. I don't see prices coming down, if that's the question you're asking me. And the reason why it was more affordable and it took less, we've had a lot of pay increases in the last couple of years, and we've had very, very low interest rates. Big difference. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room is, what about the job loss? These job losses are one of the things that concern me. The liquidity issues that we kind of scratched the surface on with the banks, I think they're going to try to work themselves out and we'll be fine. But the job losses do concern me. I mean, the graph was only up till, the last week of March, but I mean, we've had 10 million before April 1st, I think it was, where I think we're up to 20 million. I saw another 10,000. But looking at this aspect, I have a lot of my fellow realtors that are qualifying for unemployment insurance. We have bartenders. We have other individuals that have never been able to qualify for unemployment insurance qualifying. So this was from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. 700,000 individuals. All right, so really good size sample. All right, in that first, round of layoffs, they had a sample size of about 700,000. 59.5% of those individuals were in the food and service and drink places, your bartenders and servers. Construction workers, we lost some of them due to supply chain issues. Healthcare workers, believe it or not, yes, we have some healthcare individuals that work the dentist office and those doctor's office, those front desk people. They are not working right now. Obviously, childcare has been shut down. Temporary services, that's out there, those jobs aren't being utilized. Retail and trade, obviously, a lot of the retail stuff is just shut down unless you have grocery. And then you got the accommodation industry, like we talked to, hotels, things along that nature. And then the last 9.8 is the other. When you go through this, the majority of the 700 is probably going to be going back to work. I don't see a lot. Now, bartenders and servers, they're depending on what they have to do, are they going to need less or are they going to actually need more staff? Because they're going to have to be spacing out and doing certain things, cleaning more. They may need more staff. It just depends on how the business owner is going to try to fill that need. But most likely, not all of them are going to be going back. Construction should be going back. Healthcare should be going back. Childcare will be going back. Temporary services, in time, will go back. And the reason I'm getting to this is we're going to have the unemployment number come out May 8th, if I'm correct. It's going to be Great Recession number. It's going to be shocking. It really is. Don't let that freak you out. Because I do see a lot of these individuals being able to go back. I do see everything I'm looking at is we're looking at what they call a V-shaped recovery. All right? So that V-shaped recovery is, yes, we're going to have GDP negative in the first quarter, GDP like negative 20 in the second quarter. But they're talking like positive 12 in the third quarter. The unemployment rate, here is what I'm looking at when you look at the unemployment rate. Goldman Sachs has 15%. Like I said, that May 8th number is going to be pretty heavy. 2021 will be 6 to 8%. 2022, we're looking at 5% and then back down into the 4s by 2023. But the unemployment rate, keep in mind, does not have an direct impact in relationship to housing. When we had unemployment at 7.5% in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, we saw housing units go up. Home sales went up. When it was 6%, 2003, 2004, home sales went up. And then when it was low at 4% in the last couple of years, home sales went up. The only time it didn't go up was when it was at 9.6% during the Great Recession, but we also had liquidity issues with the bank then. So those liquidity issues we're working on. We are seeing loans getting done at normal process times. There are some banks being a little protective, but it looks like the forbearance issue is going to be working itself out. It's also, they've already worked out one issue, and that was there was some hedging going on because the rates were going up and down, up and down. The rates have stabilized. We're seeing a lot of rates under 4, and there's some great opportunities out there. But moving forward, you see what the unemployment was during the Great Recession, during the Great Depression, and then what we're looking at currently moving forward. And this is from Goldman Sachs. All right. With these numbers, I think as long as we see unemployment get back under 9%, but if we're under 8%, a year from when we get released from lockdown, because I know we're all ready to be out of here, but if we're back under from 1 year from that day, if unemployment's under 8% but under 9%, I think the economy is going to be doing well, and you're not going to see any impact on the real estate whatsoever. So that gets into the aspects of what should you be doing right now if you're looking to rent, if you're looking to buy, or if you're looking to sell. Well, of course, if you're looking to rent, don't. You want to build your own wealth, lock in a monthly payment, have free use of that space, and at some point pay it off. And now you don't have a fixed amount every year that you're paying. Big key. Don't. If you're looking to buy a house, now is the time to take advantage of these low rates. And these rates are going to stay low coming out of this for some time. Get the pre-approval. Set up a Zoom meeting or a Google Hangout with me. Let's have a conversation of what you're looking to do, what your goals are, all of that. And let's start looking at those properties online. And if necessary, the next step is a virtual tour. The next step after that is, yes, we are showing houses. The market is not shut down. If you're a seller, you got a couple different options. If you want to wait until a few weeks, that's fine. I get it. Especially if I've got clients in high risk. You have that right. I don't want to see anybody rush into any kind of health situation. But what you can be doing right now is getting your house cleaned up. And I mean cleaning things that you normally don't clean. The vents, the baseboards, stuff like that. Organizing your space. Take 25% out of a room and get it out. That's the old rule. You just go into a room, okay, I got to get 25% of the stuff out. Make that space look bigger. Touch up your paint. Paint a room if it's a color that you know is not going to show well. If I can talk today. You know, things like that. Tidy up the yard is one of the biggest things I think that are missed. That front picture of your house and that moment they actually do see the house, whether doing it virtually, where the real estate agent's showing up and they've got their cell phone and they're just going to sit there and talk to their client as they're walking through the house. I was doing that before we had a virus. But that first picture, when I pan, that's always going to be that moment that's going to capture them. And of course, if you guys got questions, just give us a call. I'm here, Nancy, my teammates here, we're here to help you guys and do whatever you guys need. 815-823-5478 is the direct cell phone number. If you want to just call the team line, it's 779-234-8633. Always can check out our websites. My personal is yourdwellings.com. The real estate show is getrealwitheddie.com. And of course, you can just go to the Ruettiger.com. Ruettiger Group. I can't say my own name today. Ruettiger Group, theruettigergroup.com, and check out that. Thank you for giving me your time. I really do appreciate it. I know you're going to have questions. Hit us up. Let us know what those questions are, and we'll definitely take care of you. And thanks for tolerating my horrible head in a baseball cap, because you do not want to see what this hair looks like. Have a good day, everybody.